safety group right now. With no Kenyon Martin,
Rodney Rogers gets the start at the forward. Same starting front court for Indiana.
Artest Jefferson, that's the matchup there. Artest, what a great defender.
Lucius Harris starts for Jason Kidd. Tinsley, who was suffering from the flu recently, back healthy again.
Lucius Harris, the unenviable position of having to replace Jason Kidd. He's more of a scorer than a distributor. How will that play out for New Jersey?
And there you see the officials led by crew chief Bennett Salvatore. Indiana winning the opening tip. And this is a team that has been so good here at home. 32-7 at Conseco. They've won their last 6 in a row. And still with a chance to get that home court. Tinsley knocks down the 3.
Lawrence Frank, the bright and promising young coach for New Jersey, promises we'd see a lot of zone tonight off the opening tap. That's their strategy.
Of course, the Nets not close to being the same team without Kidd and Martin. They've had some good moments without him, but more importantly, Bill, for them, the development of certain players who were struggling earlier this season, like Lucius Harris, who missed that, and like Rodney Rogers, who's playing his best ball as a net in recent weeks.
Oh, they're both healthy finally. Tinsley again.
Rogers has been the real surprise. Signed a free agent deal a couple of years ago, a 3-year deal with the Nets, and has not played well since he's been here. An occasional good game, but all of a sudden now he is playing so well as Lucius Harris knocks down the 2.
Penetration and dish. If Richard Jefferson can get by Ron Artest on the perimeter, New Jersey can come up with some sort of consistent offensive attack.
Artest and Jefferson, 2 of the best young forwards in the NBA. Foul call on Jefferson as Artest will go to the line and shoot 2, and we'll check in for the first time tonight with Michelle Tafoya.
You mentioned after playing Orlando last night, both Kenyon Martin and Jason Kidd sitting out tonight, resting on this back end of a back-to-back. Martin told me before the game that in spite of feeling some significant pain last night, he woke up feeling much better than he expected, which he believes is a positive sign. And he's optimistic heading into the playoffs that he's going to be able to play about 30 to 35 minutes a game, his average for the season. As far as Jason Kidd goes, guys, we're going to hear from him live at the end of the first quarter and hear how he's responded to playing the last couple of games.
Well, Michelle, Kidd has gone through a lot of different kinds of therapy. For Martin, it's just a matter of tendonitis, which can be very painful, but he says he'll be ready to go.
Just a matter of tendonitis? Now you're already ranking someone else's pain and injuries? I can't believe that, Mike.
You gotta pay through pain, Bill. It's playoff time, as you would say. Rogers, that's not a good shot going right. And Foster stepped out of bounds. And Nets will get a new 24.
Indiana, the second best defensive or third best defensive team in the NBA behind Detroit and San Antonio. But what they do is that they just come at you in waves. A very deep team and incredibly sound fundamentally on the defensive end.
For both these teams, defense is what has made them successful. Jefferson fires away, not that time. Oh, no, O'Neal the rebound.
Tinsley back in the lineup after missing 4 games with the incredibly painful sinus infection.
Reggie Miller misfires that one. Miller with the steal. Kittles gets it back. You see Tinsley harassing. The thing about the Pacers is they have some of the best individual defenders in the league. There's, of course, Artest, who might be the defensive player of the year. So is O'Neal. Harrington off the bench. Tinsley's a terrific defender. All good individual defenders, and they all play well in the team concept, although Harris beats him that time.
You didn't mention Al Harrington or Austin Crozier or Scott Pollard, who can all come in and do some damage off the bench for Rick Carlisle. This is a stacked and loaded team here in Indiana.
If you look at their offensive numbers, the Pacers, they don't have any real, they're not one of the tops in many categories at all. Foster comes up short in terms of scoring or shooting, but they just have so many different guys that come at you. They're a very deep team, and that bodes well, certainly for the postseason.
But the pace that Indiana plays under Rick Carlisle, who is an extremely conservative coach, he wants to grind it out.
Kittle's off the mark. That's just 2 of 6 to start.
I like the way Indiana is running. They're just getting up and down the court. They look fresh, hungry.
And there's Foster doing what he does best, offensive boards. Oh, nice move from Foster. One of the premier offensive rebounders in the league. Normally in the top 10. He's in there right now. And he gets 2 points for Indiana.
Look at the extended defense for the Pacers right now, really forcing New Jersey to take time off the clock.
Kittle steps back. Gary Kittles, always the X factor for the Nets, and certainly with Kidd and Martin out, they're going to need a pretty big offensive game for him if they want to compete tonight. They're leaving Foster wide. Foster's like, you can shoot whatever you want.
They're double teaming Jermaine O'Neal, not even guarding Foster.
Miller misses. Good rebound in traffic from Collins, but look who's there to bat it away. However, Foster touched it last.
New Jersey is getting pushed around underneath their defensive backboard, and that's not a good sign this early in the game. They've got to come alive.
Jefferson trying to run off some screens with Artest on him. Good hard drive. Offensive foul on Richard Jefferson. The help defense from Jermaine O'Neal. And the worst possible scenario for Lawrence Frank. Jefferson has 2 personals.
Obviously, Rick Carlisle and his staff have done the job in terms of scouting New Jersey, realizing the importance of Richard Jefferson. They're making him into a passer every single time.
All right, what does he do here? Does he take Jefferson out without the 2 key guys?
You got to take him out.
And you see Brian Scalabrine getting off the bench. So 2 fouls in about 4 minutes. And the leading scorer for the Nets is going to have to sit down for a while. Tough shot from Artest.
But look how they come right at Richard Jefferson. This is a very smart team. The Indiana Pacers are just going to force Lawrence Frank to take a timeout. Much needed here. They're lucky to be within 3 points. Richard Jefferson's foul trouble is a major issue.
So the foul trouble to Jefferson. The street closed for Kidd and Martin. And the Nets in a bit of a dilemma in the early going.
Lawrence Frank's in that pack somewhere, the head coach of the New
Jersey
Jersey
Nets, who took over for Byron Scott. Of course, he's had a very interesting career path that started right here in this state, as he loves coming back to Indiana. Started as a team manager for Bobby Knight's Indiana Hoosiers. Of course, worked his way up, but huge influence from Knight. We asked Frank how many lessons did he learn from Coach Bob Knight.
I don't know if I can count them, both on and off the court. Off the court, teaching me what a work ethic, what it's all about, understanding what responsibility and accountability is about, and living your life with discipline and understanding, that there's, consequences for every action. And then on the court, every day was a different lesson. He's as brilliant as they come.
Lawrence Frank, a native of Teaneck, New Jersey, was in Bloomington from 88 to 92 at the 1988 Mike. He had the privilege also of getting to know Quinn Buckner, one of the Hoosier legends who's doing television here tonight on the Indiana Network.
When he went to Teaneck, of course, that's a popular story now back in the metropolitan area as college business. He tried out for the basketball team all 4 years at Teaneck High School and was cut all 4 years.
Which metropolitan area would that be, Mike?
The New York, New Jersey, Connecticut metropolitan area? That's a good clarification. I have that East Coast bias to me, I'm sorry. Shot clock down to 7. And Artest able to knock it in. And the thing about Artest that makes him so tough this year, obviously he's a terrific defensive player, but now his scoring, he wears you down the other end as well, averaging over 18 a game.
Remember the last time we were here, Artest couldn't even touch the basketball. His thumb was so severely injured.
Still heavily padded, but it's much better. And there's a block. Knocks Harris down to the floor. Lawrence Frank upset, and he has a reason to be.
Scalabrine right up there in the face of Ron Artest. Artest has changed this game from the opening tap.
But I like Lucius Harris just got hammered there. He just got up and went to take the ball out of bounds. No big deal.
I like the fact that Scalabrine was the guy that had to come over and say something.
9 on the shot clock.
Oh, wide open, Rodney Rogers.
And Rogers puts it in. Pacers got caught on the inbounds play, and then that's within 3.
Nice to see Lucius Harris getting a real chance to play. He's always been kind of a backup guy. There's something ugly happening over there with Ron Artest, and you just can't have that kind of stuff.
Well, I want to see what the call is, though.
Rodney Rogers, flagrant foul.
Flagrant foul it's called on Artest. Yeah, Bennett Salvatore quickly said 2 shots, on Rogers against him. So Rogers called with the flagrant foul. Artest will go to the free throw line. So maybe after what happened down the other end.
Obviously what happened was that Scalabrine first came over and said something to Artest after the hard hit on Lucius Harris, and then Rodney Rogers comes right down. That's a flagrant foul. Goodness gracious sakes alive.
Well, you know what? Bennett Salvatore probably saying, all right, we've got some pushing and shoving already. Let's nip this in the bud now. The definition of a flagrant 1 foul is unnecessary contact. That certainly fits the definition of unnecessary contact.
How about just a foul? And does that count as a personal foul, a flagrant?
Oh, yeah. So the 2 shots plus they get the ball.
Because a technical foul does not call.
No, but a flagrant does
not count as a personal foul.
So Rogers gets that flagrant foul. Artest, good quick move. Ron Artest already with 10 points in 6 minutes.
And he comes right up looking at Lawrence Frank, Bennett Salvatore, the scorers table. He's fired up and ready to go tonight.
Rogers and Collins spots up. They said Collins doesn't do a lot of scoring, but he's such a smart player out there. There's a lot of the intangibles.
A critical element for Lawrence Frank. Rebounder, defender.
Miller from way downtown. And Foster tracks down his second offensive rebound. Of course, Miller, that's what he's known for with 3-pointers. As Artest loses control, it's still going to be Indiana ball. But Miller, let's take a look at Artest for a moment.
This is the Ron Artest show. He's just beating anybody and everybody. Started with Richard Jefferson, got the 2 fouls on him. Now he's got Rodney Rogers just trying to get physical with him. And Artest says, I'll play any kind of game you want. Tough night for Richard Jefferson, the reigning Eastern Conference Player of the Week.
I was saying about Miller earlier this week in a game against the Knicks here at Conseco. He made a baseline drive and dunked with 2 hands, and the place went crazy as O'Neal misfires. And he took so much ribbing from his teammates. Jermaine O'Neal was asked last time he saw Reggie Miller dunk. He said, I was 2 years old. My mom told me about it. Ball batted away. Miller tips it, but Harris right there.
Reggie's 38 years old. How many 38-year-old guys are dunking?
Well, he also said that he had a bet with Miller. Jermaine O'Neal did that. He had to dunk 5 times this season. He says, all right, we've got 4 games to go. You got 4 more dunks to go. Miller, you see the numbers, but he's still at clutch and crunch time, so important to the team.
40% on 3-point shots in his 17th year. By the numbers, the greatest 3-point shooter in NBA history, Reggie Miller, the UCLA legend.
And the most clutch 3-point shooter as well. Speaking of 3-point shooting, Rodney Rogers always has done that well. And he knocks that one down. Rogers now with 5 points.
You say the most clutch. I don't know. There's a guy by the name of Larry Bird who's sitting right over there just to our left.
I knew that
who
was...
seemed to be pretty clutch himself.
We couldn't get past the first quarter without the first Bird mention.
I'm surprised we didn't get it in the open.
Artest flips it up. Ball kept alive by Harrington. And Rogers comes away with it. Rogers doing more than scoring in this recent surge for him. He's rebounding, he's defending. As Kittles can't hit, Collins tips it, but right to Artest.
Artest is in his zone. He is where every loose ball is. He's calling for the ball.
O'Neal wants the ball. Man, O'Neal's only taken 1 shot. And we played nearly 8 minutes. Rogers is on him. Collins is guarding Foster. Shot clock winding down. Now O'Neal gets a chance to shoot. And Kittles with a running start.
You know, it's a great sign for New Jersey that they're getting badly outplayed and are only down by 2 points.
Rogers again. Well, they are shooting 46% from the field, and the Pacers have not shot well in the early going. Tinsley, the extra pass to O'Neal. O'Neal double team, gets it to Foster. And Foster so often picks up those garbage baskets, runs around after he gets a nice feed from his teammate.
The nice thing for Jeff Foster is that he just gets to play at a full tilt the entire time he's out there. He knows he's not going to get the big minutes.
He's almost a perfect complementary player for this particular team. They've got guys who can score, as Jason Collins can't connect, and Foster already had 4 rebounds.
As perfect as he is, they would still trade him for Shaq or Tim Duncan tomorrow.
Tinsley, that's a 2-pointer for Tinsley, and Collins another rebound. 3 minutes remaining in the first, but a pretty quick pace. Well, neither team shooting that well.
And very few fouls called, thankfully. Nice drive, Scalabrine.
Scalabrine foul, reach in on Al Harrington. And Scalabrine, who had a season-high points last night in a victory against Orlando. He'll go to the line. We'll take a break. Pacers lead by 4 while we go to Kevin Frazier. Talk about the Sixers and the Wizards.
You know, the Sixers standing on the cusp of elimination. A Philly loss and a Boston win would put the Sixers out of their misery. Could they do their thing tonight? Kevin Frazier, Greg Anthony in the studio. We check in on the Wizards and Sixers. Remember, a Philly loss and a Boston win would eliminate the 76ers. Gilbert Arenas hits the jumper.
He hits the jump shot. Larry Hughes follows up his own miss. But I'm going to go out on a limb, Kevin. I'm going to predict that the 76ers will find a way to win tonight.
Washington is 2-20 against the Atlantic.
I said they'd find a way. Now you know how.
Meanwhile, a Cavaliers loss, and they are eliminated. Also, a Boston win also eliminates the Cavs. Basically, they're done. They have a 1-point cushion on the Heat right now. Guys?
Kevin, thank you. As you look at the Eastern Conference standings, you see still much to be determined in terms of the order. New York and Boston currently 7th and 8th, and those will be the first-round opponents for Indiana and New Jersey. Unless Philadelphia makes an unbelievable run and one of those two teams falls. Knicks are already in. Boston hasn't officially clinched. Meanwhile, for Indiana right now, Ron Artest and Jeff Foster have been superb.
Ron Artest getting that back stretched by the medical staff over there. Never like to see that, but that's something that Reggie Miller has always done over the course of his career. The guys have really learned from Reggie Miller. But how about the Boston Celtics? I mean, the vision of Danny Ainge, who was crucified early, and now that team is playing good ball. Chucky Atkins, Mark Blount, and the ever-present Paul Pierce. They're playing.
I think Chucky Atkins, that addition to Scalabrine hits that has been enormous. You know, we've already had 2 Boston Celtics references. You're done for the half. All right? You got to wait for the second.
Just reporting the facts.
But how about the job John Carroll has done? That team was ready to go. That was on the verge of collapse, quit, season's over. And Carroll has done a good job, and he does give a lot of the credit to Chucky Atkins, who's made an enormous difference. Shot clock now down to 3. Harrington with 2 guys on. Knocks it in. Al Harrington, one of the candidates for 6th Man of the Year, has just been superb. Such a terrific two-way player.
And like Jermaine O'Neal and Ron Artest, he's getting healthy. That bone bruise on his knee suffered in the exhibition season really finally starting to get better for the first time this year.
It actually happened right before camp when he was playing one-on-one with O'Neal. And it bothered him for the first half of the season. Pacers will get it back. But also bothered Harrington at times was coming off the bench. Artest comes back in. Harrington wants to start, but he has now fully embraced being the 6th man. And Rick Carlisle was saying that the thing about Harrington he loves is his #1 priority right now is to get wins for the team.
What would you rather do, start or finish?
Well, he does finish a lot.
He plays 31 minutes a game. What does he have to complain about? What, that he doesn't get to walk out here?
We're talking about
the start of the game?
We're talking about the modern NBA player, Bill. They'll find something to complain.
They're better with him coming off the bench because now Foster gets out there and gets to contribute.
But when we talk about, he doesn't complain. It's more of a thing. It's just that's his desire. He wants to be a starter in the NBA. And you like that competitiveness. But what he's done is said, okay, I'm the 6th man. I'm coming off the bench, and I'm going to do that to the best of my ability. And he has done it.
Well, he's a remarkable talent who's come so far since living in Antonio Davis's basement as a rookie there when they weren't paying him any money over here.
Shot clock winding down. Artest has had the mark and does it again. Ron Artest, 12 points here in the first quarter.
He's just having fun playing basketball. What a joy to watch.
So a 7-point lead early for Indiana here in the opening period, just under a minute and a half remaining. That's, as we said, played last night. Nice entry pass. And Rogers. The thing about Rogers is, he's been coming off the bench since he came to New Jersey. All of a sudden, he gets starters minutes with the injuries, and he's performing.
Well, the ultimate talent, Rodney Rogers. I mean, people have been salivating over this guy since he came out of Wake Forest. Look at him.
And Harrington knocks it down. I think I'd save ultimate talent for the likes of Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan.
Look at Rodney Rogers. How many guys in the history of this game have had a better body than that?
You have to have more than a good body. He has not played well since New Jersey, but boy, he's without question playing the best ball for the Nets in the past couple of weeks. As a foul against Artest. And let's go to Michelle Tafoya.
Hey guys, take a look at Ron Artest's shoes when you get a chance, because he might change them, although the way he's playing, he probably won't. 16 16 pairs of shoes just outside his locker inside the Pacers locker room. He brings 16 because he's not sure which ones he wants to start with. He might change throughout the game. He's known for doing that if something doesn't feel right. So you think that, women have a lot of shoes, guys? I beg to differ on this one.
Michelle, how many pairs of shoes in your closet?
I'm not going to answer that question on the grounds that it may draw comparisons to Ron Artest, but...
Well, the way Ron is playing, you would be in good company to be compared to Ron Artest.
Exactly. 16 pairs in there. He estimates he has about 100 pairs at home, and he has all brands, Latrell Sprewell's brand, Nike's, Adidas, you name it, because he doesn't have a shoe contract. He can wear anything he wants out there.
So, in other words, this is an audition.
Well, you could look at it that way.
Meanwhile, the Pacers in the penalty, and Collins hits both free throws.
Can we get a report from Imelda Marcos on that?
Lead is back to 5 now for Indiana with about a half-minute remaining. That's hanging tough in the early going. Again, if you're just tuning in, no Jason Kidd, no Kenyon Martin. Zoran Planinic, the rookie in the game.
Now, I like this matchup between Anthony Johnson and Planinic.
Harrington creates some space, and Collins another rebound. Nets will hold it for the final shot here of this first quarter.
Dribble penetration and kick to either Kittles or Rodney Rogers at three-point line.
Planinic, nice crossover move, but lost the ball. Final seconds, Harrington does not get it off in time. That would not have counted. As Ron Artest and the Pacers with a strong first quarter. Artest over half of Indiana's points. Plus his defense helped get Richard Jefferson out of the game in the first couple of minutes with 2 quick fouls. 1 quarter complete here in Indianapolis. The Pacers, all they need is one more victory in their final 3 games, and they clinch the best record in the NBA in home court throughout the playoffs. They're off to a good start tonight.
Jason Kidd, who is resting that bruised bone in the left knee. You played last night. More importantly, how did you feel this morning?
I felt good this morning. Got some treatment, worked out at the practice site, and I felt good. And to join the guys here later on this evening to cheer them on and try to give them some support.
Kenyon Martin is optimistic about what he's going to be able to contribute minutes-wise in the playoffs. What are you thinking at this point?
48 minutes. Whatever I can do to help my team. The knee is responding in a positive way, and it's a day-by-day situation. But, once the next season starts, hopefully I'll be ready.
What about the Olympics? What is this doing to your thinking about the summertime?
Well, first I got to concentrate on trying to win a championship, and then we'll think about a gold medal. But right now, we're just trying to get ready for the playoffs.
You did tie Larry Bird for 59 career triple-doubles. That was one of your goals I know you were looking at. How much would you like to get number 60 before the end of the regular season? You got, 1 or 2 games?
That would be great. We're going to have a couple opportunities to get it, hopefully against Philly and then maybe against Miami. But we're just trying to take one day at a time, and all the personal stats will take care of themselves.
What did it mean to you to match him?
Well, you're talking about Larry the Legend, one of the best players to ever step on the floor, and to be able to tie him, that's a great honor.
Thanks, Jason. We hope to see you in the playoffs.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Michelle, again, with all the talk about what he does for this team on the offensive end, he is such a good defensive player, and that's one of the main reasons the Nets made it to 2 NBA Finals. His defense sets the tone for New Jersey.
Well, when your best player is your hardest working guy, and is the most committed team guy, like Larry Bird, like Magic Johnson, it just sets the table for everybody.
Well, good defensive Pacers. They forced a 24-second violation.
How about how good he makes Jason Kidd, how good he makes his coach. Lawrence Frank started off 13-0. Jason Kidd gets hurt. They're 10-12 in their last 22 games.
No one more aware of that than Lawrence Frank himself. Of course, who took over for Byron Scott after Scott was fired earlier this season. One of the things that Frank has done that he really wanted to get the bench playing better. The Lucius Harrises, the Rodney Rogers, and they started to. Planinic as the ball deflected out of bounds, and shot clock runs out. And he really has done that. Reminder, NBA TV, Portland and Denver. That's on Saturday, 9 p.m. And then Sunday, a doubleheader on ABC. It's the Sixers and the Nets from New Jersey, followed by the big one, the Lakers and the Kings from Sacramento. The best rivalry in the NBA. Coverage beginning on Sunday at 12:30 p.m. But what Frank has done is he's gotten the bench to be more effective. Now they've wound up starting a lot of the games because of the injuries, but their confidence is building. Turnover.
And isn't that what great coaching and teaching is all about? Making people better at what they do, make them feel better about who they are and what they're doing.
First thing he did when he was named the interim head coach was meet individually with every player and talk about their roles and what they were doing. Crozier spots up for 3. And the lead is 8 on the banker.
Jermaine O'Neal has spent a lot of time yesterday with his hairdresser Celeste, who was in town, and so he's ready for a prime performance tonight.
You know, for a guy who had some pretty wild hairdos in his day, you talk a lot about hairdressers. Jefferson, good hard drive and a blocking foul on Harrington. And Derek Richardson, the official, trips up.
Not a good fall by Derek Richardson.
And he comes up, he's a little shaken up and upset that he fell down. He's mad at himself. You see him a little bit of a limp.
This is not good.
Richardson, tough guy out of Brooklyn. That's where he was born in his 7th year in the NBA. Let's take a look.
Very violent game out here, NBA basketball. Down the lane, Artest just again continues to play outstanding defense. What did he fall over?
I think some outstretched leg.
From off the court? There wasn't even a player in the game that was involved in that?
He may have tripped over the baseline. No, there's some legs out there.
I know they've got some very thick paint here in Indiana. Now that's a hard foul.
You know, I think he just turned his ankle. That's what it looked like. He did a couple of game a couple of years ago where an official hurt himself during the course of the game. They finished with 2 referees, and it makes you wonder, how did they ever do it back then with only 2 officials?
Well, particularly in the era of Dennis Rodman, Rick Mahorn, Jeff Rulin, Bill Laimbeer.
Well, those guys played with 3 a lot. Crozier, and Austin Crozier misfires that one. He didn't go for the banker that time. 7-point lead for Indiana. We played 3 minutes here in the second with Bill Walton and Michelle Tafoya. Mike Breen on hand. As the Pacers had a 2-fold assignment tonight. Wrap up home court throughout the playoffs. They'll do that with a victory. As Planinic knocks down the 3. And they can also tonight, the Pacer, a win will set the franchise NBA record for most wins. As Rick Carlisle not happy. He'll call a timeout as the Nets back within 4.
You know what he's not happy about is the ill-advised jack-up of perimeter shots. How about taking the ball to the hoop and running everything through Ron Artest?
So we'll take a break and head it back to Kevin Frazier. And we'll talk about Bill's favorite team, the Celtics.
Well, Mike, Bill's favorite team on the brink of elimination, taking on New Orleans in a must-win situation. We'll show you what's going on in New Orleans.
ESPN's presentation of NBA Friday.
Brought to you by Coors Light. Unleash the Rocky Mountain cold taste of Coors Light. And Jeep. Trail-rated capability. Only in a Jeep 4x4.
Boston trying to lock down the 8th and final spot in the Eastern Conference, taking on New Orleans, and you know who's lighting them up? Maurice Carter. Who? Yeah, Mo Carter, who had 2 stints with the Lakers earlier this season. Carter flowing. Celtics need this win plus a Philly loss to lock down the 8th and final spot. You see the score right now, 27-20. Meanwhile, the Wizards put it to the Sixers, so if Boston could win, maybe this would be their night to lock down that final spot. Bill? Mike?
Kevin, thank you. Here in the early second quarter from Indianapolis. Pacers lead by 4. Derek Richardson, who turned his ankle on that play, is now back out on the floor. Back to the locker room, watching your upper right hand. Makes the call, but turned his ankle and came up hobbling. Now, to show you officials have a sense of humor, his partner, Blaine Reicheld, who's been doing this for 26 years in the NBA, came over and said he was so excited he got the right call. Richardson, one of the fine young refs in the NBA.
I feel a little embarrassed that he's taken one of my favorite dance steps and put it on national television.
Anthony Johnson, good move, couldn't finish, and Aaron Williams with the rebound.
I'm looking forward to Planinic play tonight. This guy is a dynamic talent here. Never really gets that much time backing up Jason Kidd.
Aaron Williams, nice feed from Scalabrine. And Aaron Williams able to put it in. And the New Jersey bench has pulled them within 2. Remember, Richard Jefferson has hardly played. He's back in the game now, but he picked up 2 quick fouls, yet the Nets are hanging in there.
A lot of standing around for Indiana right now. Carlisle cannot be happy.
And look at Jonathan Bender, fresh off the injured list after a shoulder injury. He's getting some minutes.
Great play, Aaron Williams.
I'm going to go into my Aaron Williams.
Okay.
Get on my pedestal for Aaron Williams. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the NBA. Now, I know that's, he's not an all-star.
You don't have to convince me.
He's in his 10th year in the league. He's played for 7 different teams. He's bounced around, although 4 straight years with New Jersey. This guy, all he does is he makes plays. He's such a good player. I'd love to see him one year get 35 minutes a game. I bet you he'd average 15 and 10.
I'm not disagreeing.
Nice steal from Freddie Jones.
Great defense, Planinic. The rest of the Pacers just gave up on it.
Well, Freddie Jones makes the play, but the rookie from Croatia makes the defensive play. Aaron Williams and one. Well, Aaron Williams with a chance for a 3-point play.
And I want to follow up on Aaron Williams because when you look at him close here, normally after all these years in the NBA, how many did you say you had in the NBA, Aaron Williams?
How many teams?
How many years? 10?
This is his 10th year in the league.
He's always had the shaved head. Up there talking to him today, he's got red hair.
What's with the hair references tonight? There you see his minutes. He's averaging about 19 minutes. Now, 1 year, he averaged 10 points and 7 rebounds. Those are his career highs. Played about 28 minutes a game. But he's a guy that just works so hard as New Jersey. 9 straight points, and their bench is now have them with a 1-point lead, their first lead of the night.
Jermaine O'Neal, offensive foul, throwing Scalabrine out of the way. Lawrence Frank, what a job.
Jermaine O'Neal with the foul, his 3rd.
Lawrence Frank threw the old cliche out at us before the game about how, sometimes good things.
Whoa, look at that.
That was an easy call.
It's like for the Indianapolis Colts, of which he's a big fan, by the way.
What Lawrence Frank told us is O'Neal will sit down with 3 fouls. Sometimes bad situations, good things, positives can happen from them. And with the Kenyon Martin injury and the Jason Kidd injury, a lot of these players on the Nets have been getting extra minutes. The Rodney Rogers, the Aaron Williamses, Brandon Armstrong, Lucius Harris, and they're all playing well. And come playoff time, if they're healthy, now these guys are playing with confidence. Boy, Freddie Jones explodes. That won't count, the dunk. But Planinic with the foul that time.
As Indiana's gone into a funk here, it reminds us of what happened at practice this morning. Out in transition is Freddie Jones, one of the most explosive and athletically gifted players in this franchise's illustrious history. But the Pacers told us that they lead the league in giving up 18-point leads.
They've had their problems with getting big leads and not being able to finish teams. And I might have called a clear path foul on that. Yep, that's what they called. So no one was ahead of Jones when the foul came from behind. Clear path is you get 1 free throw and then the ball out of bounds.
I like Lawrence Frank because he's happy. He's just an upbeat guy. And he comes and says, I got a job, I'm working, let's go. Who wants to play ball?
And he's doing a job that he absolutely loves. 5 minutes gone by here in the second. Tie game. And it's hanging tough on the road.
The Lawrence Frank story could only happen in the NBA.
Shot clock winding down. Anthony Johnson for 3. And Johnson knocks it down.
Hey, that spot on the floor right in front of Lawrence Frank, that was where Crozier made the bank. Now Anthony Johnson.
Aaron Williams. And he get called for travel. This shovel is pivot foot. There you see after his stint with Bob Knight, the Marquette assistant, Tennessee assistant, worked with Kevin O'Neal of the Toronto Raptors for a while, Grizzlies assistant. And now with the Nets assistant, as an assistant with the Grizzlies, was with Brian Hill when he was the head coach. And the first thing he did after calling his wife was to call Brian Hill and get him as an assistant on the bench. As Harrington knocks it down. That's nice loyalty showing from Lawrence Frank.
Well, it's a tremendous move. Remember, this is a franchise that lost Michael Korn and Eddie Jordan, who were Byron Scott's lead assistants last year. They went down to Washington where they're running the show. You've got to have that complete staff.
Jefferson. Whoa. Richard Jefferson, strong drive. Now, he may have dribbled it twice. That's what Rick Carlisle is saying. It should have been a double dribble.
They're going to take a timeout and sort this one out. Richard has to put the shirt over his mouth to keep from laughing.
Well, whether it was his first or his second dribble, it was a nice move. Bender the foul, and the Nets back within 3.
The undermanned New Jersey Nets hanging tough at one of the
most difficult arenas in the NBA to win at. Now, let's look here. Richard Jefferson dribbling, stops, looks for a teammate. Let's see. All right, I'll dribble again. So the officials missed it.
And then get to the hoop and the line.
Rick Carlisle complained, and the officials sometimes they just missed the call. That was one of them.
But you're talking about a veteran now, Richard Jefferson, coming over in one of the great trades in the history of the NBA.
Will you stop with history stuff? That's a good trade. It's a very good trade.
You get a starting small forward who's going to be an all-star. He's already a member of the national team, Richard Jefferson. You get a starting center. You get Brandon Armstrong, who's a quality role player, for Eddie Griffin.
All right, so it's a good trade, a very good trade.
That's a great trade.
But it's not one of the greatest trades in the history of the NBA. Jefferson.
Okay, those guys only played in the NBA Finals their first 2 years.
With Jason Kidd.
That was another great trade. Why are you so negative?
We're just past the midway point of the second here in Indiana, and the surprise is how well the Nets are playing. Freddie Jones. Oh, that's a good spot. You're right.
They got to guard that spot. I would put 3 defenders right there and just make him shoot from any place else. Get to the hoop, Zoran from Ninic.
And a foul on Anthony Johnson. So Tinsley's going to come in. And don't forget, NBA Friday coming up after this one. The Sacramento Kings with still hopes of getting the best record in the West. They'll play the Phoenix Suns. The disappointing home loss to Minnesota last night. They're now number 2 in the West behind the Timberwolves.
That was a great game last night. Goodness gracious sakes alive.
Armstrong, part of that amazing trade.
Did you see Ola Candy play last night?
Yes.
I mean, that was impressive. The vision for Kevin McHale coming to the fore.
Artest.
Oh, what a move.
Ron Artest. 14 points for Artest. The Pacers back up by 7.
Forcing Lawrence Frank to call a timeout. Great thing about Ron Artest, he's not like anybody else in today's game, and yet is still an all-star.
He had his first all-star appearance this year. There's going to be many more the way he plays at both ends of the floor, and he's really adding to his offensive game.
The level of confidence that he's playing with. That's a George Gervin, Dr. J reverse flip shot.
Just under 5 minutes remaining. Second quarter in Indianapolis. More superlatives from Bill Walton when we return from Conseco Fieldhouse.
The Sacramento Kings, who are battling for that top spot in the West,
taking on the Phoenix Suns. That's after we're done in Indiana. Meanwhile, guys, still a lot of activity outside in Times Square, the Lawrence O'Brien Trophy outside. Your thoughts on this game?
There's nothing to play for. I really can't get into the game.
New Jersey supporting Cavs, getting confidence. That's what they're playing for.
Richard Jefferson looking great as usual,
yes,
but I'm enjoying listening to Bill Walton as much as I'm enjoying watching Richard Jefferson.
Look at you. Their love is in the air. Let's go back to the game. See you in moments.
All right, you know, Bill Laimbeer's got to get out of that studio. If he can't get into this game, he's got to come out where the people are and enjoy this. Leave the security detail behind, Bill. People will forgive and forget.
Meanwhile, here in Indiana, Pacers now up by 7. Rick Carlisle's team with a chance. Magic number 1. All they need is a victory, and they would clinch home court throughout the playoffs. Carlisle has done an amazing job this season. Jefferson falls down. Artest trying to get on him. He's rolling around a little bit. And Carlisle, only 44 years old. How about his first 2 years? He wins 50 games with the Pistons, 50 games with the Pistons, and gets let go and comes here and wins 58 with a chance for 60.
And becomes just the second coach in NBA history to win division titles in his first 3 seasons, Pat Riley being the other.
And we asked him who are his coaching influences the most. And the 2 guys he mentioned, there have been a lot of them, but the 2 he mentioned were Larry Bird, who he was an assistant when Bird was the head coach here, and Chuck Daly, who he was an assistant in New Jersey when Daly was with the Nets.
And what did he say that he learned? He learned how to prepare, and he learned how to delegate.
And he has delegated here. He gives a lot of the credit to his assistant coaches. As inside ball movement. And a 24-second violation. The shot did not hit the rim.
24-second shot.
One of the guys he's delegated to, Rick Carlisle, is Mike Brown, who is his defensive guru. That's Mike Brown, who, of course, won a ring, was with Greg Popovich's staff with the San Antonio Spurs. Brown, one of the terrific young assistant coaches who one day will be a head coach in this league.
Also played for Hank Egan down at University of San Diego, where he learned a ton of basketball and life.
Lucius Harris back in, shot clock winding down, and Harris able to bank it in.
One of the real questions for Indiana as they move into playoffs is Jamal Tinsley going to be the playoff force that's going to get them past that first round. 3 straight first-round losses for the Pacers. Nice crossover.
And the pass to Harrington. Beautiful play from Tinsley, and Harrington with a dramatic finish. You know, Bill, I agree with you. I think that is the #1 question. If the Pacers get real strong play from Tinsley, I think they've got a chance to go all the way to the NBA Finals. And if they have a Game 7 here, could certainly win it.
What about the big backcourt for Detroit, though? Chauncey Billups, who's hurt, Rip Hamilton. Well, that's the only hope that Chauncey's going to be all right. That guy's a terrific player.
Harrington lost it. For those who did not see the game the Pacers played Sunday in Detroit, the Pistons really, they put on a defensive clinic as Artest and a foul. Ron Artest with a chance for a 3-point play. Pacers didn't have a lot of offensive moves like that against the Pistons Sunday, but they were without Tinsley, who did not play in that game, and that was a huge loss for them.
The ability to get to the hoop, the ability to find teammates, and want a situation that he's in, because he's a very quiet guy. This is not a vocal leader. You got guys like Artest, Harrington, and Jermaine O'Neal who are salivating for that ball all the time, and he's got to make the decision as to who gets it. Yikes.
Lead back up to 8. But that game Sunday, the Pistons, that's the best defensive performance I've seen from a team all season.
You got to watch the superlative.
The Pacers only had 61 in that game and a foul.
Jamal
Tinsley with the foul. They're in the penalty. Some more free throws coming up. Now, he just came back. He missed 4 games. He had a bad viral infection. He started off with the flu. But this is his 3rd game back. And you see what he's done. And the key for him, talking to Donnie Walsh, the general manager, the other day, is he came back in better shape. Came back in excellent shape this year. He went through a tough time last year with his team. There was a number of different tragedies the team had off the court, including his mom passing away for Tinsley. But Donnie Walsh said he came back, and he's really done a good job of improving his range. But the best thing is Donnie Walsh watches was what great shape he was in.
What a visionary leader Donnie Walsh. I mean, look at what Indiana has here. They've got the Simon brothers as owners. You couldn't ask for better. You got Donnie Walsh, a genius. You got Larry Bird, who will not tolerate any fools or nonsense. You got all these great players. This building, what's not to love about the Pacers?
Well, when they went to the finals and lost to the Lakers, as Artest flips it up, shot tipped in.
You know, somebody's got to rebound if New Jersey is going to get back in this game.
I think that was Harrington who tipped that in. 10 points for Harrington off the bench.
New Jersey was a lot better off of defensive rebounding when they had Aaron Williams and Scalabrine in there.
Harris misses from point-blank range.
Nice defense, Rodney Rogers in transition.
But what Donnie Walsh did is they went to the finals, and he, in some ways, rebuilt the team, but kept them competitive even after that trip to the finals. And he brought some young guys in, let some veterans go. As Miller for 3. They love their Pacers here, but when he hits a three, it's a little bit louder cheer. More than any other player, he's so beloved here in Indiana. And the lead up to 12, largest of the game. And a foul. Collins got hit from behind, and Jason Collins will shoot 2.
You know, you talk about Reggie Miller here. This is a guy who lost his home to fire a couple years ago, and the devastation was just off the charts. As a result, Reggie's become totally involved with burn victims around the country. He has raised, Reggie Miller, $600,000 so far for burn victims. He contributed, Reggie Miller, $250,000 of his own cash to families after the 9/11 tragedy in the metropolitan area. That'd be the New York metropolitan area. This is a guy, Reggie Miller, who does it without a staff. He does it all on his own. Doesn't allow the Pacers to ever publicize his work. Stops by schools and hospitals unannounced on a constant basis. Parking lot attendants, you name it. This guy is a special human being.
And he's a guy around the league because he's so successful and has hit so many clutch shots that he's kind of a villain to opponents. But his professionalism, even in New York, where he's hurt the Knicks for so many years, even New York, people respect him. He's got so many big numbers, but you look at his career field goal percentage, 47% for his career, and you consider, you know, how much of that's been long range. Just an amazing, amazing career.
But how durable he is.
Foster is fouled. Let's go to Michelle Tafoya.
One of the other interesting things Reggie does is before the game, he has an exchange with David Benner, the PR director for the Pacers, that borders on bizarre. They yell at each other a little bit. He likes David to get in his face, and he gets in David's face. And that's accompanied, by the way, by a cup of juice or Mountain Dew or whatever the drink du jour is. And then Reggie follows up that little tirade with a three-point shot that 99 times out of 100 he'll make. He has a million superstitions. You know, he enters the locker room a different way, whether they're trailing or leading at halftime. He'll go in a different way depending on the situation. He'll come out a different way. It's remarkable. Rick Carlisle told me, I don't know about all of them. I think if I did, I'd be a little concerned.
And he's always remained loyal to UCLA, the school that gave him the chance out of Riverside. There's David Benner.
He's Reggie's man. He's our guy, too. Media relations director here does such a terrific job. As the Pacers have now opened up their largest lead. Rogers is hit from behind from Artest, and he'll shoot 2.
I'm a little surprised that you didn't tell the listening audience that that's how you and I get ready for the game, by you getting in my face, telling me to shut up.
I've never uttered those 2 words to you.
I beg to differ.
I think I've said calm down, but I've never said shut up.
Give it up, Mike. Please.
Rogers hits the free throw. So I just can't be mean to you.
What, you're not going to duplicate it?
No,
for the fans at home?
I can't do it. It's too violent. This is a kid show we're involved in.
You've gotten soft. This is embarrassing.
You know, with Reggie, say over the years, you've done 50 to 100 games that Reggie Miller has played in. In every single one, when it got to the arena, he is the first guy out there. Every single game, no exception. His preparation, still at this age, is as good as it gets in the NBA.
Well, isn't that what it's about? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
Final minute here, the first half, which for a while the Nets were right there. Now they're down by 11.
Now, Reggie never got to play for John Wooden at UCLA, but he got to grow up in the glory days. It's interesting talking to him today. Oh, beautiful turnaround.
Kittles.
About how nice it was to see Ben Howland down at the Final Four in San Antonio. Ben Howland, the new UCLA coach.
Rogers, tough shot. Ball knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Miller with some help from Kerry Kittles banging into him. But it's going to be net ball.
And how next year it would be even better if Ben Howland could bring the players with him to the Final Four.
You have completely run out of Celtic and UCLA usage here for the remainder of the game. Rogers, nice spin move from Rodney Rogers. Nobody wants to get in his way as he goes to the basket, and the Nets back within 9.
Come on, take a charge. Come on, Foster, Bender, Crozier, let's go.
New Jersey without Jason Kidd, without Kenyon Martin, and Richard Jefferson in foul trouble, hanging tough. Bender, nice move, won't finish, and the Nets will hold it for the final shot of the half.
Jonathan Bender just activated today after a very painful shoulder injury, actually a partial dislocation.
Final seconds, first half. Kerry Kittles going to have to shoot it. Good defense from Reggie Miller to end the second quarter. And the Pacers will go to the locker room up by 9. Lucius Harris and the Nets trying to hang tough. So the Pacers leading 49-40 after the first 2 quarters. Again, 1 win away from clinching home court advantage throughout the entire NBA playoffs. They got good play off their bench in the first half. One of those bench players right now with Michelle Tafoya.
Yeah, with Al Harrington, 10 off the bench. There have been times where they've really kept it close and times where you've been able to stretch the lead on them. What's made the difference?
The difference is where we get stops. You know, we get stops, at least easy baskets, and only time we're going to be able to stretch the lead, we got to stop them from scoring, and we got to continue to score the ball.
Richard Jefferson in foul trouble, 2 of their best players out, and yet they're still hanging tough. How do you put this one away?
Yeah, they're a tough team, and, you know, they've been, you know, to Eastern Conference champions, so they got that confidence, but the way we're going to have to put it away is just through great defense, and that'll take care of everything.
All right, Al, thanks a lot. They're trying to get their franchise record for season wins. Mike?
Michelle, coming up at halftime, it's the Toyota Halftime Show. We'll head back to the studio and join Kevin Frazier, Greg Anthony, Bill Lambier, and Stephen A. Smith. They'll have the fast break highlights.
And more information about the Celtics.
Can they clinch? Of course, these 2 teams have clinched their playoff spots, trying to figure out who they're going to play in the first round. A lot of superstitions going on here at Conseco Fieldhouse. Pacers by 9, halftime in Indianapolis.
Miller will be very important in the recipe for success for the Indiana
Pacers. Only Chef Negro said that.
Oh, that's right. It was Chef Negro. That's right. Welcome to the Toyota Halftime Show. Bill, Greg, Stephen A. Let's get right into the mix, and we fast break through the highlights because an important night in the East as far as the 8th and final playoff spot is concerned. Cleveland and Miami and LeBron and crew could not afford to lose, Bill.
No, their faint playoff hopes are still hanging out. LeBron's trying to do what he can.
17 points for LeBron, but Greg, Dwayne Wade has been fabulous.
He's been great in the battle of the rookies, and unfortunately for LeBron, Dwayne will be in the playoffs.
Yeah, he will be there. And right now, Cleveland Cavaliers trying to keep hope alive with a 4-point lead. Now, Philadelphia needs to win tonight because if they lose and the Celtics win, they're out. Chris Ford, will he remain, Stephen A?
No, he will not, but it's just as much his choice as it is that of Billy King, the president of basketball operations.
Kenny Thomas, the bucket on the break later. Larry Hughes, the little float on. Kid Wizards up 52-47. Gilbert Arenas having a big game, Greg.
Yeah, this guy can play, no question about it. The injury slowed him and also, I think, impacted the Wizards' success this year.
Arenas, another 3. We're tied at 80 right now with 30 seconds to play in this game. Of course, the Celtics can lock down that 8th and final spot with a win and a Sixers loss. Jamal McGraw, noise. Yeah. Yeah.
What's this from?
Yeah. He can play. Ricky Davis trying to do his thing, too. But how about Chucky Atkins? Time to run out.
Oh, I love Chucky Atkins. What a great teammate. And he's really made Boston what they are right now.
Well, Boston needs to win that game, and if they want to lock down that 8th and final spot. Meanwhile, not the Hawks Bulls. What's going on with the Pistons?
The Pistons, they just keep rolling.
All right, we take a peek at the standings in the East, and here's where it stands at this second. But remember, 76ers tied, Cavaliers winning, Celtics losing. All right, so let's take a look.
The Knicks on the yeah, that's my. I apologize.
Oh, I mean, thank goodness, barely. If somebody could win in the East,
don't hate.
Take a look at the remaining schedule. And here's the thing: Boston Celtics the easiest schedule, clearly, because they got Atlanta twice.
They're getting in.
They should definitely get in.
All right, guys, as we look at the bottom of that East, and once again, I want to say, you're saying that Boston definitely in. It's a done deal.
Yeah, they're getting in. They're going to win a couple of these games, and no problem.
They should definitely get in the playoffs. I agree.
And, well, all that matters is the Knicks are in the playoffs, right?
No, well, there are a lot of good teams. I can't wait till the playoffs start.
The question should not be whether or not Boston's going to get in the playoffs. The question should be whether Danny Ainge is going to be happy about that. That's the question.
That's a good point. Do you think he'll be happy about that?
Not necessarily, because I think he's got his sights on the future, and he recognizes this team is not going to do one single thing come playoff time.
I think he'll be thrilled. Because I think those guys, those young players, get confidence. Being in the playoffs means a lot as you mature and grow in your career.
But if it costs you, maybe that positioning for that draft pick.
That's all the brothers saying. All the brothers saying.
They're in the playoffs.
Tinsley, Al Harrington. That's noise, that's love, and that's why the Pacers lead.
This halftime show is presented by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-sized.
Look at Times Square on this Friday night. It is a madhouse. It's also the 100th anniversary of Times Square. Meanwhile, great basketball in the heartland. Pacers lead the Nets. Let's quickly update you on the Masters and the big story there. Arnold Palmer, his 50th and final Masters. He fired a 84 in his final round. Tiger Woods shot a 69 to follow his 75, and he is at even par. Meanwhile, Justin Rose remains your leader. He shot a 71. All right, here's the top of the Western Conference standings. Timberwolves move to the top spot after knocking off the Kings. Remember, big game coming up this Sunday on ABC. The Los Angeles Lakers fighting for that top spot, take on the Sacramento Kings. That's after the 76ers and Nets, Lakers and Kings, and that could go a long way to determining who wins the top half of the West. Meanwhile, we check in on a couple of scores, and the Portland Trailblazers watching their playoff hopes just ride right on out of San Antonio.
This is true. I'm still not giving up on them, but they are getting a bit spanked right now.
The Nuggets in a big game. If they win that, they may give them in the playoffs.
Nuggets. I wonder where you heard that from, Bill. Mr. Greg Anthony.
Here's a look at the bottom half of the standings in the West. And Nuggets and Trailblazers entered the evening tied. Jazz just a half game back with the Nuggets winning, though.
And that's a big game for Houston.
Yes, it is.
No one thought that they had any question of making the playoffs.
Let's show you the finish between the Wizards and Sixers. And 5 seconds when they inbound the ball, Gilbert Arenas the kiss off the glass. It's Estranje and Philly, Steven.
It makes me feel bad. Willie Green's a good kid, but what a mistake shooting too early. Feel bad for him.
And the point is the Sixers took a shot way too early, allowed Washington to get that look.
There's that Hall of Famer again. Trying another three, Reggie Miller.
Reggie Miller with the three. 49-40 at the half.
This halftime show is presented by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-sized.
Halftime in Indianapolis, and the game being broadcast on HD TV. Conseco Hillhouse, just a gorgeous arena in downtown Indianapolis. We'll take a look at our first half stats brought to you by Allstate. Some of the numbers in the first two quarters. Shooting percentages, Pacers now up to 47%, including 5 of 9 from three-point range. That's did a pretty good job on the boards, hanging tough there, Bill.
But it was Ron Artest all the way. When you define competitive greatness as doing your best and your best is needed, you have your Sprite mad skills with Ron Artest from the opening tap, playing at a level that no one can come close to matching. The perimeter shots, the poise, the confidence, the explosiveness, getting in people's face, willing to mix it up, sending the guys from New Jersey back home and to the deck. And then while Scalabrine and Rodney Rogers tried to restore order, Ron Artest was the one who kept his cool, and that is why he is our award winner for the Sprite Mad Skills competition of the night.
So Lawrence Frank has some work to do, and let's go to Michelle Tafoya.
All right, yeah, coming out of the locker room, he told me he was disappointed because they just allowed Artest to do everything. Go baseline, go to his left. He said we gave too much to Artest too easily, but he said we're in pretty good shape because a lot of the outside shots that Indiana got were unconventional. But he also expects Jermaine O'Neal in this second half to come out aggressively since he was held scoreless in the first half, and he wants his team prepared for that. He also wants his team to continue to attack the basket, not settle for jump shots, and try to beat Indiana from the perimeter. Guys?
O'Neal 0 for 2 from the field, did have 3 rebounds. Meanwhile, Richard Jefferson in foul trouble only had 4 points. And an offensive foul call on Jason Collins.
He can't believe it.
What did I do, he says to Bennett Salvatore.
Salvatore saying he hit him with the raised arm there. Jason Kidd and Kenyon Martin trying to do everything they can from the bench to help their squad.
They both played last night. Martin actually left the game for a while because his knee was hurting him so much. Artest left-handed, can't get it to go, but a nice follow. And here's the first field goal of the night, first points of the evening for Jermaine O'Neal.
What I liked about Ron Artest's game tonight is that he realized that Richard Jefferson was the key to New Jersey's success. He has completely shut R.J. down, the reigning Eastern Conference Player of the Week. 4 points tonight for Richard Jefferson.
And nice pass from Jason Collins. Harris puts it in. He took Jefferson out of the game with the 2 quick fouls. Jefferson had to sit. O'Neal didn't shoot a lot. Only took 2 shots in the first half. Tinsley misfires on the 3.
You know, Jermaine O'Neal's numbers have been coming down since the start of the season. And I asked him about that. He said, well, he's been injured of late. He had that bad knee. Took a hard fall and collision in the Chicago game. Foul on Tinsley here.
Over-aggressive on his post defense on Harris. But O'Neal, as you see, a couple of single-digit numbers. Again, those came after the knee injury when he first came back. Missed a couple of games. Wasn't 100%, but wanted to play and kind of get it loose and get back in the flow. Harris knocks down the 2-pointer. And the lead cut to 7.
But Jermaine O'Neal in the month of April is averaging under 15 points a game. This is one of 5 players in the entire NBA that averages 20 points and 10 rebounds a game.
Now, I think, Bill, he's a legitimate MVP candidate. Keyword there is candidate. I don't think he will win as Artest knocks it down.
Why not?
Because I think Kevin Garnett's, his numbers are better and has had a better season. O'Neal's played terrific basketball.
But Indiana's got a better record. He's the best player on the best team.
Not by much, and Garnett's numbers are.
Well, that's why they have second place.
Right, but no, Garnett's numbers are better, and it is in the Western Conference against better competition for the most part. As Collins gets inside, knocks it in, and just like that, again, it's cut to 7.
Well, you're talking about playing Phoenix and Golden State.
Well, you know what I mean.
Clippers.
As Collins gets the rebound, I mean, it's obvious that he goes up against the Duncans and the Malones and the Shaqs a little bit more. But what I'm saying is he's a legitimate candidate. I mean, he deserves to be mentioned with Garnett and with Duncan and those that you want to put up there as MVP candidates. Rogers short on that one. And Rick Carlisle, what he believes is that O'Neal, all right, say if he doesn't get MVP, he should be first-team All-NBA. Harris,
so who are you going to take off of that list between Shaq, Duncan, and Garnett?
Well, some might say that Shaquille O'Neal missed a lot of games, didn't play up to his full potential for part of the season.
Okay, you go tell him that.
No, hey, is O'Neal a better player? Ball knocked out of bounds. Is Shaquille O'Neal a better player than Jermaine O'Neal? Yes. But Jermaine O'Neal has had as consistent a season as Shaquille O'Neal.
And here's what the Indiana Pacers are selling right now outside of Conseco Fieldhouse. MVP for Jermaine O'Neal, Defensive Player of the Year, 6th Man of the Year for Al Harrington. But you mentioned the success against the West. Like, Indiana is 20-8 against the Western Conference this year.
And O'Neal has played well against the West as Foster misses that one. I'll tell you who I will vote for. My ballots, one of my ballots is Defensive Player of the Year, and Ron Artest is going to get my vote for that.
The season's not over yet. How can you vote?
Jefferson, nice move from Jefferson. And a foul. Foster came in and bumped him, and Richard Jefferson with a chance for a 3-point play as the Nets have now pulled within 5.
I need to follow up, though, on a statement that you made against these guys, as Richard Jefferson is going to get to the rack and finally get something going. The step under by Foster, ill-advised. We'll have to get back to that point about Indiana against the West when we return.
There's
this
a
important commercial message.
Maybe you'll forget in the interim.
NBA Friday, brought to you by Olive Garden.
When you're here, you're family. Samuel Adams. When you're ready for a distinctive brew, Samuel Adams. Always a good decision. And Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. Now redefined to push your PlayStation 2 to the limits. Available now.
Those are just some of the impressive defensive plays from Ron Artest this year. What Rick Carlisle, his head coach, did, he had members of the video coordination staff go through every single defensive play that Ron Artest has had this year and it took a full week for two guys to go through every single game, every play. Carlisle's so impressed with Artest's defense, and those numbers you saw of what they came up with and how he defends players. And Carlisle was blown away by those numbers, that his defensive numbers are that good. That's why he thinks he should be the defensive player of the year.
Where does a person find time in his life to do that? Well, we need that kind of guy at ESPN here.
One of the guys who did it was an intern in the department, and Carlisle said to him, if Ron Artest gets the award for defensive player of the year, I'll give you $1,000 out of my pocket. If he doesn't get it, you're fired.
The guy's now under psychiatric care.
Meanwhile, New Jersey trailing by as many as 13 in the first half. Now back within 4.
Jason Collins is playing well. Richard Jefferson is making it happen. Lucius Harris has made some nice jumpers.
Shot clock down to 4. Harris, a contested shot. And Artest with a rebound. Rogers and Foster are kind of having a little bit of their own game down low. Some pushing and shoving. Anthony Johnson. And the Pacers 2 of 8 from the field to start here in the third quarter.
You know, when you make those statements, though, that you're going to vote for Ron Artest for Defensive Player of the Year, I mean, all these other poor people out there are being influenced. So what about a Kirilenko in Utah or Bruce Bowen in San Antonio?
All deserving consideration. Tim Duncan certainly deserving consideration, as is Garnett. Harris misfires that.
Nice patience by Lucius Harris.
And Rogers can't hit. Rebound fought for, and Artest comes away with it.
But this Defensive Player of the Year award, it's something that's dominated by big men of late. In the last 15 years, only one perimeter player has won that. That would be Gary Payton in 1996.
O'Neal foul by Rodney Rogers, and some free throws coming up as Rogers picks up his third. Let's go to Michelle Tafoya.
You know, just adding on to your story, Mike, about the video session that poor intern went through with another assistant. They had to look at 8,000 possessions. 8,000, and what Carlisle wanted was a compelling and unusual stat, one that you just showed. More interestingly, he said, was that in wins, Artest allows a few more shots, but he holds his individual opponents to just 35% from the field. And Carlisle confirmed that he is talking to people. He's lobbying hard for Ron Artest for Defensive Player of the Year, just like he did for Ben Wallace. There's another big guy, Bill, that had won Defensive Player of the Year 2 years in a row.
And certainly deserves consideration this year as well. There's a lot of guys. That last foul on Rodney Rogers was his 4th. Foster way short. Have you made up your mind who you're going to vote?
The season's not over yet. A lot is going to happen in these last 5 days.
And a defensive 3 seconds, so a technical foul.
But I will make all my votes public.
3 seconds.
That's very, very thoughtful of you. Harris will shoot the technical free throw with 6.5 to play here in the third. Lucius Harris with 11 points. Harris and Rogers, the only 2 nets in double figures. Reminder, looking for all the latest news on the NBA, watch NBA TV Insiders on NBA TV to find out tomorrow's NBA news today. The lead is 3.
The history of the Defensive Player Award has started 21 years ago. In the first 2 years, it was Sidney Moncrief, a little guy. Then Mark Eaton. And then Alvin Robertson, the great player from San Antonio, another little guy. Michael Cooper from the Lakers. And then Jordan. Pippen never won it. Ever since then, it's been all big guys since Jordan, with the exception of Peyton.
Well, we're talking about all this great defense. The New Jersey Nets are doing a number on the Pacers right now. An 8-0 run. They've got a chance to retake the lead in a game they trail by 13.
Rick Carlisle's going to start pulling his hair out. Larry Bird, Donnie Walston over there can't believe the collapse here.
Jefferson, tough shot, puts it in, and the Nets have regained the lead. What a terrific comeback. A 10-point turnaround here in this third quarter alone.
Look at Lawrence Frank up and down the sideline. He's just telling everybody what to do. Guard Artest. Richard Jefferson fronting him now.
And a foul away from the ball. Excuse me, it's actually a 12-point turnaround here in the third. As the Nets were down by 11 earlier in the period.
Richard Jefferson, once this becomes a staple of his game, just turning and jumping over a helpless defender. As good a defensive player as Reggie Miller is, when you have that kind of elevation, Richard Jefferson is truly one of the winners of the genetic lottery. And this is a guy who, like Kevin Garnett, like Jordan and Pippen, wakes up at dawn and can walk out and say, okay, who wants to have a slam dunk contest?
Last foul on Collins, his third. Pacers just 2 of 10 from the field in the third. Harrington tries to draw some contact, and a late whistle and a foul. So free throws coming up. It's going to go against Aaron Williams.
Scalabrine trying to get that. I think trying to protect Richard Jefferson more importantly than Aaron Williams.
Now, just to go back, and we'll finish it out. The reason I
never finish, Michael.
Okay. So the reason I like Artest's defense is his versatility. He can guard a number of different positions. He can guard with quickness out on the perimeter. He can guard physical players in the post. He's very good off the ball. He's a very good on-the-ball defender, and he's an excellent team defender as well.
Have you watched Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan play defense of late?
And they can all do amazing things defensively.
Including everything you just said.
It's a hard pick. It's a very difficult choice.
So how can you vote with 5 days to go? That's my question.
Well, I just feel that I've seen enough games from all of the players that I can make that decision. I'm going to think about the playoffs.
Well, how many Indiana games have you seen, say, in the last 4 or 5 days?
This is my third this week.
I was just checking to see if you're up on the Pacers.
Pacers now back up by 1. Very impressive showing here from New Jersey. Aaron Williams able to get it back.
I like the heart and emotional commitment that we're getting from the Nets.
Harrington with that deflection. 3-on-2 the other way. But O'Neal with a bad pass.
That was great defense by Scalabrine.
2-on-1 now for New Jersey. Harris couldn't handle that one. Anthony Johnson goes hard. Can't finish, but Artest a block and a foul. Williams grabs him to say, hey, just a hard foul. That's it. Blaine Reichelt came out hard with the whistle. Aaron, I think Aaron Williams did a smart thing there. That was a hard foul, but right away grabs a hold of Artest. Hey, I was just trying to prevent you from the basket. Let's take a look.
But you don't see from Ron Artest anymore the violence, the anger, the unsettled personality. And he's worked diligently on all of those fronts. And to hear Larry Bird in his office this morning rave about Ron Artest, Larry never fails to mention the brilliance of Reggie Miller. But now he's on Artest's bandwagon right now. And just all the things that you've mentioned, all the things that we've seen here tonight, Larry Bird is echoing.
21 points, 6 rebounds for Artest, and the Pacers back up by 3.
And Larry was actually a bit angry today. About why do we have to wait till 7 o'clock to play this game? Why can't we play the games at noon?
What did Larry have for breakfast this morning, Bill?
I wasn't there. But Larry got back late last night from Portsmouth.
Kittles hits a 3, and the Nets have tied it again.
What a
game
great
at 57.
Isn't this the same game that Bill Laimbeer said was no good? This is an outstanding NBA game.
Harrington, nice move. Harris hit him, as did Scalabrine apparently. Harris blocked the shot, it looked like. But free throws coming up for Harrington. Harris called for the foul. That's his first. And a reminder, this Sunday, ABC with an NBA doubleheader with playoff implications as the Nets host the 76ers and the Pacific Division title. And top seed of the West could be at stake. Lakers and the Kings, the best rivalry in the NBA, as those two teams still trying to get the top spot. Lakers going to be tough for them to get it now. And the Kings now behind the Minnesota Timberwolves as Harrington misses the first.
The Lakers schedule, which looks so easy, is now not so much. At home tonight against Memphis, at Sacramento. They close it at Portland next Wednesday night. Those are a lot of tough games against teams that are playing very well, with the exception of Sacramento.
You look at the Western Conference, and there's not one easy, what you would call an easy gimme first-round matchup for any of the top 4 seeds.
Well, Dallas, Sacramento, and Houston are the teams that are not happening. Portland is really delivering.
If they get in. Artest, there's the steal. He's 4th in the NBA in that department. And that's his 3rd steal of the game. 4 minutes left, 3rd quarter. That's giving the Pacers all they can handle. Harrington. O'Neal gathers himself and draws the foul.
But as great as that steal was, they got little out of it, the Indiana Pacers. You need to be able to turn that into instant offense in transition.
Well, the transition defense for the Nets, it's been one of their strengths. They're a good defensive team. O'Neal just 2 points on the night, only 1 of 4 from the field. The last foul on Aaron Williams is his 3rd.
Or maybe it was the pregame ritual for Jermaine O'Neal, who was out on the court before the game. We talked about Reggie's pregame ritual, but it was Jermaine O'Neal out here well before the game with assistant coach Mike Brown working with the blocking and tackling dummy, trying to get him ready for playing against Jason Collins, Aaron Williams, and most particularly Rodney Rogers.
O'Neal hits that, and the Nets have done a good job on him. Nets have played them well. Brett Jones, you see, back in the game, defending Kittles. Kittles gets right past him.
Now that is a beautiful drive.
And Kerry Kittles with 9 points. Aces, meanwhile, only up by 1. They've missed their last 8 shots from the field.
This is a great matchup here. Aaron Williams and Jermaine O'Neal.
8 on the shot clock. Tough shot from O'Neal. Williams defends him well. And here come the Nets with a chance to regain the lead once again.
Artest transition defense. That matchup of him and RJ, spectacular.
Not been a lot of fast break points in this one because of good transition defense from both teams. Kittles and Artest with his 7th rebound. Shooting numbers really favor the Nets now in this 3rd quarter. Artest off the mark. Harrington tips it, but right to Kittles.
It's a long rebound starting to go New Jersey's way.
Good defense from Anthony Johnson. Jones, who likes to attack the basket. Pretty feed, and Harrington finishes.
Lawrence Frank has seen enough. So close, but so little time and so far.
Frank, you got to be happy with his team's performance, but right now, they trail by 3.
The game opening up a little bit, but Anthony Johnson's bringing defensive play, constant ball movement, finding somebody can throw it down.
Freddie Jones picked up his 5th assist. Nice unselfish play off the bench. Pacers back up 3. We go to Kevin Frazier, find out what's happening with the Heat and the Cavs.
Technically, LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers still in the playoff race. LeBron trying to keep hope alive. Great dish there. We'll show you more in just a moment.
The Miami foul.
Anthony in the studio. Cleveland battling and trying to stay in the playoff race. Then the 4th quarter hit and game over. 28-12, the Cavaliers have been outscored.
Well, Miami is priming themselves for the playoffs, and Cleveland getting ready for the draft.
Hate to see LeBron go. LO and crew putting it to him. It's 104-91. Meanwhile, looks like the Hornets will knock off the Celtics. Philadelphia, though, loses to Washington, but Philly needs to win out and Boston lose out for Philly to catch the Celtics. It's a mess in the East. Nobody wants to win and take that 8th spot. Coming up, it's the Kings and the Suns. Chris Webber getting ready to roll. Still questions about whether he is 100% healthy.
All right, Kevin, Jermaine O'Neal, probably not 100% healthy, but getting there after having that knee injury. Well, this was his pregame ritual with Mike Brown.
Now, we all know how globalization and technology have changed our lives. I used to be that red dummy. But now, you've got Rodney Rogers.
Pretty much doing the same thing that Mike Brown was doing.
Well, that's how you practice.
Their defense on O'Neal has been very, very good. O'Neal just with 4 points and 5 rebounds. Good defense from Harrington.
What a touch.
Almost went down. That's the other thing is, yes, Artest is a terrific perimeter defender. And Al Harrington has the ability to be an unbelievable defender. Doesn't play it every night the same way, but if he's been a little more consistently, he's such a good defensive player.
Oh, what a luxury Rick Carlisle has. Harrington can play 4 different positions. Play guard, all 3 front court positions.
Nice touch from Jermaine O'Neal. That's just his 2nd field goal. And lead back up to 5 with just under 2 to play here in the 3rd.
You get the sense that the Pacers are just toying with New Jersey.
No.
They play just well enough to keep a little bit of a lead.
I think as you see tonight's numbers compared to his season numbers, I think that the Nets are playing so physical that the Pacers realize that they're in a tough battle.
Jermaine O'Neal shooting 43% on the season, and that has been going down.
Jefferson off the mark.
Artest there to tip it again. His zone for the loose balls tonight, remarkable on Artest.
Scalabrine on Harrington.
A lot of standing around for Indiana.
Shot clock winding down. Jefferson trying to poke it away. And O'Neal suddenly finding the range. He yells at Derek Richardson, thought he was fouled as well. With the lead, back to 7.
While Jermaine O'Neal is yelling at the ref.
Offensive foul. Aaron Williams lowers the shoulder. Williams just turned to Blaine Reichelt and said one word. Flop.
In the low post, cutters coming off, allowing space. But when you have this kind of ability to just turn from behind the backboard and rise up over the top of a defender who's probably taller, I mean, that's an indication that you really got a game. Brandon Armstrong now in.
With Williams getting in foul trouble. Again, in terms of what this game means in seeding or opponent, it means absolutely nothing for the New Jersey Nets. They are the number 2 seed by winning the Atlantic Division, but they will not be able to get a better record than Detroit as O'Neal misses that one. So it really is a meaningless game from that standpoint, from where it puts them in the playoffs.
There is no such thing as a meaningless game.
But you know what I mean by that. And for Indiana, the game means much more as they're trying to secure home court throughout. Their magic number for that is 1, and they want to set a franchise record. Scalabrine, a little hop step. And Harrington the rebound.
Look at Harrington's versatility.
And O'Neal suddenly finding his offensive game. He got hit there. It's at his right shoulder. And O'Neal will shoot 2. All 8 of his points have come here in this third period.
Big men who can pound up and down the floor. Scalabrine can't get it to fall, and with Al Harrington, who's a full 6'9" himself, feeding the 7-footer Jermaine O'Neal, you can only hope that shoulder's okay.
Scalabrine, his second foul. Another thing for O'Neal, he's really improved his free throw shooting. Every year gets a little bit better. He's now at 75% this season. And that's an area that he needs to improve on because he's, physical player is going to go to the line quite a bit.
And if the only thing you can say bad about someone like Jermaine O'Neal is that he's not as good as Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett, that's pretty darn good.
It's a hard foul. You saw he winced afterwards. But you look, his second and third years in the NBA, he shot 51% from the line. He got it up to 60, then 69.
He's playing 5 minutes a game.
Right, not shooting a lot of free throws, but the 1 year, his first year in Indiana, he shot 60% from the free throw line. He shot almost 400 free throws, so it's an area that he's worked on.
So why don't we start up that great trade argument that we had earlier in the first half? By the way, I haven't forgotten about that point in Indiana against the Western Conference.
A 9-point lead now for Indiana. They're on that 11-2 run. It's about a 2-second difference between shot and game clock. Klaninic, nice move. Final shot of the period. Freddie Jones trying to find some room. Flips up a 3. Artest tried to tip it in, but that will end the third quarter. Bit of a roller coaster ride. Pacers went up by as many as 11. Nets came back and took a 1-point lead. Richard Jefferson and his team shorthanded tonight for playing tough on the road. However, Jermaine O'Neal suddenly came alive. All 10 of his points in the third quarter. And after 3 here at Conseco Fieldhouse, Pacers will a 7-point advantage as we head to the fourth.
Fourth quarter set to begin in Indianapolis, New Jersey.
Nets without Jason Kidd and Kenyon Martin hanging tough here in Indiana. They trail by 7. It's obviously a different team without Jason Kidd, and the numbers certainly back it up, Bill.
It's a different style. They don't fast break as much. Remarkably, they get the same number of assists, but they turn the ball over because Jason rarely does that. Obviously, they just can't win without this guy, and the big concern is, will he be healthy enough along with Kmart? And it's not going to be easy for these guys. You don't go from not being able to play. This is not a choice. These guys can't play NBA basketball tonight. To be able to go from that position to be able to play every day better and better basketball, That's a tough leap.
Let's go to Michelle.
Well, recapping what he told us after the first quarter, he played in their game last night against Orlando and felt good this morning, much like Kmart did. Again, an optimistic sign. Looking forward to the playoffs and feels like he's going to be able to contribute. Bill, he was non-committal about the Olympic question. A number of players who are currently on that Olympic team injured and wondering whether they're going to have it for the length of the summer.
And to show you the importance of Jason Kidd tonight, New Jersey has 0, a grand total of the donut in transition points.
Pacers, meanwhile, with 6. Both teams have done a good job getting back. Planinic, nice aggressive move. And he'll go to the line for a couple. That's what he does best. He's so creative. And he's got terrific skills. He's still learning how to involve his teammates and still learning how to play defense in the league.
I'm still learning how to say his name. Every time I ask him, he tells me it's Zoran Planinic. And now you're saying it's Planinic. What's the deal here?
Let's go with Planinic.
Planinic?
Yes.
I generally go with what he tells me.
Let's go to Michelle again.
Well, Planinic, that's how I understand it said, still has a little trouble hearing everything in the huddles. I'm told that Brian Scalabrine early in the season gave him a DVD of Sopranos shows so that he could learn some English. So one thing he does know how to say, guys, is stop busting my chops.
They have high hopes for him. He's only 21 years old.
He reminds me a lot of Danny Ainge. And a lot of Pete Maravich.
Well, he likes to play like Pete Maravich.
And
Anthony Johnson off the mark.
Pete Turgevich.
Yeah, I remember Pete Turgevich.
The East Chicago, Indiana legend.
Nice Armstrong. There's another guy that's gotten some time. Third-year player out of Pepperdine. He's a pretty good shooter. Brandon Armstrong, the lefty, just 23 years old. But has not seen a lot of minutes in his 3 years in the league.
Zone defense now. The way they started the game, the Nets.
Harrington was just standing there waiting for the three-pointer. 18 points for Al Harrington.
I like
7 of 10 from the field.
No hesitation or indecision whatsoever by the Pacers in attacking that zone.
Rodgers able to get it poked away by Artest. But Collins right there. Scalabrine. And a blocking foul called on Jeff Foster. Crowd doesn't like it, but that's the right call.
Isn't it traveling at the start of the move?
Reminder, Saturday on NBA TV. Portland at Denver, a huge game in terms of that final spot in the Western Conference. Then Sunday, the doubleheader. 76ers might be knocked out of playoff contention tonight if Boston wins against these Nets. And then the big game, Lakers and Kings, second game of the doubleheader Sunday on ABC.
That's a huge game for Portland tomorrow night, that they're getting their hats handed to them in San Antonio tonight. Spurs, the best in the league at finishing strongly.
Ryan Scalabrine had a season-high 15 points last night. It's a couple of free throws here. And again, New Jersey back within 5. This game means a lot to Indiana. A victory, and they've clinched the best record in the NBA in home court throughout the playoffs. It also would set a new franchise record for single-season victories. Shot clock at 7, didn't hit the rim.
You got to get that defensive rebound if you're New Jersey.
Artest. Rodgers pokes it away. And Planinic ahead to Rodgers. Rodney Rodgers brings it back out. Good transition defense from Indiana.
Here's a mismatch here. Rodgers has to be able to convert.
Nice move. And the touch. And it's a three-point game.
Rick Carlisle has seen enough. He's coming back with Jermaine O'Neal quickly. They've only got 3 games left. They got to win one of them. Indiana.
The New Jersey Nets playing without their 2 All-Stars, playing physical basketball on the road, and they're back within 3.
Get a couple of games, one that's over. The Cavaliers
Officially eliminated from the playoff hunt as they lose. They are basically gone till November. Meanwhile, Celtics battling with the Hornets. This one through 3 quarters. A Celtics win, coupled with that Sixers loss earlier this evening, puts the Celtics into the 8th spot in the playoffs. Meanwhile, Mike Bibby played at the University of Arizona, back in Arizona, so sorting through the ticket requests. I'm sure he has a lot of friends and family that want to show up tonight for the Kings and Suns.
Kevin here in Indiana. Pacers holding on to a 3-point lead in the fourth quarter. In a game on HD, once you watch high definition, you'll never go back. High definition, increased clarity, and a bigger, wider picture. High definition is sponsored by Philips and Best Buy. Check to see if your team in the playoffs is on ESPN HD. Be logging on to ESPN.com and searching HD. Some upcoming HD games, April 11th, NHL playoffs, Detroit and Nashville. Also Major League Baseball, Giants and the Padres from San Diego. And then April 13th also, more NHL playoffs, Detroit and Nashville again.
Have you seen San Diego's new Petco Park?
No, I have not.
That is spectacular.
Whoa. Harrington, quick move, blocked from behind by Jason Collins. Brandon Armstrong, Brian Scalabrine, Jason Collins, Zoran Planinic, and Rodney Rogers, the 5 players on the court in the fourth quarter for New Jersey.
You talk about developing a bench. Lawrence Frank, maybe serious consideration for Coach of the Year.
Armstrong can't hit that one. And O'Neal the rebound. Pacers shooting 39% from the field in the game. That's defense has been terrific. O'Neal draws the foul, and Jason Collins picks up his 4th. O'Neal scoreless in the first half, had 10 in the third quarter, and he'll shoot 2 free throws.
Okay, now I can talk about
with 2 shots for your
the toughness of Jermaine O'Neal, but also how good this Indiana team is. Because yes, they are 20-8 against the Western Conference this year. They have a better winning percentage than any other team in the Western Conference in intra-conference play.
They're also 12-2 at home against the West. The only 2 Western Conference teams to come in here and win were Sacramento in a game 1 at the buzzer, and Houston beat them as well. You see some of the numbers for them.
But the winningest team in the Western Conference in intra-conference play is San Antonio. They have a 65% winning percentage. Indiana against the West, 72%.
Indiana, though, of course, might have a tough time with the Pistons. Pistons, again, played them so well. Their first game with Rasheed Wallace as a member of the Pistons, and they beat them pretty handily in Detroit on Sunday. Rogers' 3-pointer won't go, and Jamal Tinsley back in the game with a rebound.
Tinsley didn't play in that game. This guy is a critical element. They're going nowhere without Jamal Tinsley playing at the top of his game.
O'Neal, shot clock winding down again. O'Neal with a hand in his face, knocks it down. Jermaine O'Neal, all 14 of his points in the second half, and the Pacers back up by 7.
What I love about Indiana's team is so many different guys that can beat you. And we haven't even talked much about Reggie Miller tonight.
Planinic just kind of flips it up there, and Foster brings in another board.
Lawrence Frank going to leave Richard Jefferson on the bench the entire second half here?
He likes the way his bench has played. Miller knocks it down, a 2-pointer for Reggie Miller. And just like that, the lead back up to 9. Largest lead of the fourth quarter. Timeout, New Jersey.
It's coming from everywhere. Artest, O'Neal, Harrington, Miller, Tinsley. These guys can play ball.
Only Miller's second field goal of the game, but it gives the Pacers some breathing room. O'Neal coming alive. But the veteran Reggie Miller, at crunch time, the guy you want taking the shot, still able to make it with 2 guys draped over him. Still plenty of time remaining, and every time you're ready to count the nets out, New Jersey storms back.
NBA Friday, brought to you by Coors Light.
Unleash the Rocky Mountain cold taste of Coors Light. Jackson Hewitt. Get the biggest refund you deserve at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service. Jackson Hewitt. Get more in return. T-Mobile. Get more minutes, more features, more service. And Saturn. People first.
Time for tonight's Saturn Game Track.
It's been Ron Artest, the king of all known things early. 21 points, 7 boards, and 5 assists. He can't guard everybody, So while he shut down Richard Jefferson, Rodney Rogers has come alive at the hoop from the three-point line and on the backboards as well. In the second half, though, Jermaine O'Neal held scoreless in the first half, has 14 big points on a variety of shots that would just dazzle the imagination.
One stat that was not on there for Ron Artest, he's got 4 steals. And again, the Pacers with a bit breathing room. They've had all they could handle. Indiana in a zone. Planinic, tough shot. O'Neal had the rebound, lost it, but Foster right there to pick it up.
Lawrence Frank has brought Richard Jefferson back in.
They went for the steal and got burned as Jermaine O'Neal finishes. And the lead back up to 11. 8 straight points now from Indiana as we're under the 7-minute mark.
But now they're just running, much the way they did the Knicks earlier this week.
Armstrong, 3-on-1.
Nice.
Miller running the floor. The 38-year-old puts the Pacers up 13, equaling the largest lead of the game.
How many timeouts can you use in a quarter?
But still have 2 timeouts left.
But they've missed their last 5 shots. They're playing well.
Again, his zone defense forcing him from the perimeter. Dangerous pass, and Rogers able to put it in. 15 points for Rogers. That ends the 10-0 run.
So do you think Al Harrington has a legitimate shot at 6th man of the year?
Yes, he's one of the leading candidates. O'Neal, offensive foul, lower the right shoulder.
Well, Manu Ginobili would have to be in there as well.
Yep, Ginobili, Antoine Jameson, Bobby Jackson. Again, coming up, the second game of our doubleheader. Sacramento Kings need a victory, want to bounce back from that tough home loss to Minnesota. They'll be in Phoenix against the Suns. That's coming up next.
Sacramento's been in a slide since Chris Webber came back. Their big guys have got to come to life if they're going to have their championship aspirations come true.
Oh, what a steal from Tinsley. He knew that Jefferson was coming, and Harrington finishes. But again, it's all started by their defense.
The celebration underway here. Lawrence Frank beside himself. How many timeouts do they have left?
They're down to 1 remaining.
An absolute clinic, converging from all sides, running away from the basket to create space for others. That's point guard play. Jamal Tinsley.
10 steals for the Indiana Pacers. The turnovers have hurt the Nets, who are down 13.
Here at Conseco Fieldhouse, the crowd on its feet
almost the entire timeout as Rick Carlisle and the Pacers with a chance tonight. All they've got to do, hold on and win, and they will clinch home court advantage throughout the entire playoffs. Meaning, if they're able to beat everybody in the East, including the Pistons, and make it to the NBA Finals, if there'd be a Game 7, it would be right here at Conseco Fieldhouse.
And who was that said that the regular season doesn't matter?
Who said that?
Regular season does matter. Each one of these games.
Oh, absolutely.
You said it was a meaningless game.
I never said such a thing. Collins in the high post. Shot clock winding down. Rogers just kind of flipped it up. Nice tip in from Jason Collins. And a credit New Jersey. Not going away.
Credit Lawrence Frank for bringing a level of professionalism and discipline, responsibility, and accountability. But at the Eastern Conference playoffs,
Miller and Collins the rebound.
Play out. You're talking New Jersey and Detroit having to battle it out in the second round.
Detroit would have home court advantage if those two teams met. And Jefferson, he's okay as Harrington falls down. Foul is on Harrington, so he picks up his third.
3 of the Pacers in the period.
And with so many teams in that middle of the Eastern Conference playing poorly right now, that would be a great boon to Indiana if they could get all the way through healthy, fresh, and then come in against the winner of that New Jersey-Detroit second round matchup. And the winner of that matchup will be bruised severely.
Shot clock winding down, and the Nets turn it over. New Jersey, 16 turnovers, which have led to 21 points. Meanwhile, the Pacers with only 7 turnovers the entire game. Harrington. O'Neal lighting it up in the second half. all 18 of his points came after intermission.
And it seems like every one of them have come off a pass from Al Harrington. That guy's the creator tonight.
Tinsley got his hands on another one. Oh, look at that pass. Harrington! That may have been one of the highlights of the season if that one went down. But again, it all starts with the defense. O'Neal continues his second half eruption, and this is the largest lead of the game. New Jersey hung tough, hung around, but now the Pacers pulling away.
I love guys who drive to a spot and get in the air for jumpers.
Tinsley, the foul, his third. Let's take a look at this play again.
In transition, Reggie Miller just able to lead the pack. That is beautiful creativity.
They've got 23 assists tonight. The Pacers do. 23 assists on 31 field goals. It's a good ratio. Jefferson, been a relatively quiet night for Jefferson. Just 11 points.
Give that credit to Ron Artest. Nobody wanted to play at Artest's intensity level. And Rick Carlisle's bringing Artest back in.
Sees Jefferson hit a shot. Get back in the game.
You talk about a conservative coach.
Shot clock winding down. O'Neal, little drop step. Good defense that time for Rodney Rogers. 13-point game, just under 3 to play. That's need points in a hurry. Rogers threw it too hard, and Jefferson couldn't handle it. This Sunday, ABC with an NBA doubleheader. That's hosting the 76ers. Of course, it all starts GMC NBA hang time, 12:30 Eastern. And then the big game, Lakers and the Kings, the second game of the doubleheader from Sacramento. The best rivalry in the NBA. We can only hope they'll play in the playoffs again.
A nice round of applause for Al Harrington there. The Pacers have sixth-man history in their franchise. Detlef Schrempf won it twice in the early 90s for the Pacers.
Harrington tonight, 20 points, 7 rebounds. Jermaine O'Neal can't connect from Jefferson the board. Indiana Pacers, who a team, Rick Carlisle told us the other day. And a whistle. Offensive foul called on Scalabrine. Rick Carlisle told us the other day that when he was in preseason with this team, he felt the Pacers were dreadful. He was worried about them. He thought they were light years away from being a good team. And then in the opening game, they played so well, their opener in Detroit. Now, they were banged up in the preseason, but Carlisle was really concerned. Most coaches are, and they always will be. But this team just took off from the beginning, and they are having a magical season. And if they hold on and win tonight, and it looks like they will, they'll set a franchise record, NBA record, for most wins in a season. Larry Bird's team won 58 back in the 97-98 year. Jermaine O'Neal in traffic. Tries to keep it alive. And then, of course, they'll clinch home court throughout.
It's a great way to set yourself up for Coach of the Year laurels. Downplay the expectations. Tell everybody how bad your team is. You come out roaring out of the gates, finish strongly, and who knows?
Scalabrine. Minute and a half remaining. And what has been a strong fourth quarter for the Pacers. Again, coming up, Kings and Suns coming up next. This is a Pacer team that last year was 32-12 at one point, but then they had a number of things go wrong. They had injuries, they had personal tragedies, deaths in the family of several players. They had Ron Artest, who knocks that one down, have all his problems and really imploding in the second half. And the team wound up losing in the first round of the playoffs. But this year, they're a more confident team. They're a more mature team. They've gone through the tribulations of losing. And this season, they have put it all together and now on the verge of their 59th victory of the year with a chance at 60.
And never underestimate the impact of Larry Bird. Whether as a player, whether as a coach, whether as a team president.
Rick Carlisle as well. Standing ovations for Miller and O'Neal. Of course, Jermaine O'Neal, it's his team now, and Rick Carlisle has said that he's been a beneficiary of what Isaiah Thomas did the last 3 years as the team grew. And that's a smart thing for him to say because Jermaine O'Neal has a lot of loyalty to Isaiah Thomas.
All the players here love Isaiah.
Yep.
Just like the players in New York love Isaiah. Maybe Dikembe Mutombo.
Rick Carlisle has done just a tremendous job with this team. And they are now going to clinch the best record in the NBA. They'll have home court advantage throughout the entire NBA playoffs as long as they're alive. And with this victory, they'll be their 59th win of the season. It sets a franchise NBA record for most wins.
And how bad did the Nets miss Jason Kidd? 0 fast break points and 19 turnovers tonight.
Scalabrine is fouled.
And we haven't even talked about Kenyon Martin much because that guy is an all-star player.
O'Neal.
His own, and Jermaine O'Neal has torched him in the second half. Kenyon Martin, though, he has had his way with Jermaine O'Neal as New Jersey has been able to beat these Indiana Pacers over the last few years as Kenyon Martin has risen to the all-star level.
By the way, the reason I keep saying single-season NBA record is because the ABA Pacers won 59 games back in the 69-70 season. This is the most wins they've ever had since coming to the NBA.
That would have been in the era of Roger Brown.
Well, the head coach is here tonight, Slick Leonard, who does the radio with Mark Boyle on the Pacers radio network. And as Collins tips it in. But a terrific fourth quarter for the Indiana Pacers. It was a close game through much of it, but the Pacers hold on, and with this victory tonight, they have now clinched home court advantage throughout the playoffs. A huge step for the Indiana Pacers. What a magical season it's been for them so far. Their 59th victory of the season. They still have 2 more, so they could get to 60 wins. Let's go to Michelle Tafoya.
All right, with a couple of stars, Jermaine O'Neal, 59 wins. You guys clinch home court for the playoffs as long as you're alive. What does that mean to this franchise?
It means a lot. You know, we've been through so much the last 3 years, and to get to this point right now, to have the best record, the franchise record as far as wins. But we got to feel good about it right now. But you know, we got to get to the playoffs and we got to get out of the first round to make some things happen when it really counts.
And what's that going to take?
That's what we've been doing. A lot of hard work, tough defense, crisp offense, and just depending on each other and trusting each other.
Scoreless first half for you tonight. You come alive in a big way in the second half. What was the difference?
I don't know. You know, I got in foul trouble early. And my rhythm was a little bit slow because I had to go out the game. But just trying to concentrate on what I have to do in that score when we give an opportunity and play tough defense.
Congratulations, Jermaine. We tell her to the elder statesman of the team, Reggie Miller. And what a big night for you guys. Home court advantage throughout the playoffs. That's something you've never had with this team.
No, it's not. But it doesn't guarantee us anything. Obviously, just about in every playoff series, you're always going to somewhat lose your home court advantage. Any team can come in here and win, but we're confident. You know, we got the best road record in the league as well. So, you know, if we are unfortunate to lose home court advantage, we know we can go into other people's buildings and win.
Reggie, I remember when you guys went to the finals and lost to the Lakers, you were heartbroken afterwards. You said it was one of the most excruciating experiences ever. You've got a really good opportunity to be back in that situation. How much are you thinking about that right now?
Well, we're going to go round by round. You can't really look, too far ahead because last year we did that against Boston and Boston tripped us up. So, we're going to take it series by series and let the chips fall where they may.
This team has talked about being more mature this season than the last two. How would you describe that maturity and how it's going to help you in the playoffs?
Well, we're not looking too far ahead, first and foremost. Yes, it's nice to have the best record in the league, but it doesn't guarantee us anything. On any given night, you can be beaten, and we understand that, and I think that's the maturity level this team brings.
Reggie, congratulations.
Appreciate it, Michelle.
All right.
That's good, girl.
Wow. I don't know what to make of that. Let's send it back to you guys.
Goodness gracious. The voice of the veteran. Regular season means nothing. They've all talked about that. Final score, Pacers 90, Nets 80. Kings and Suns up next with Phoenix. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. So for Bill Walton, Michelle Tafoya, and our entire ESPN crew, this is Mike Green saying so long from Conseco Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. Now back to the studio. We send it to Kevin Frazier.
away. You saw it from the Sanyo Lightship, never in doubt. Side goes 5.65 seconds, 254 miles an hour. Ron could muster only a 5.92. Let's put a period on top alcohol dragster. There's Morgan Lucas. David?
And right behind him, David Wells, one of the first people to come over and shake your hands. Don't you know you're supposed to respect your elders, though?
Well, I guess I'm the youngest guy on my crew. I don't know. I got a bunch of good guys. Like, everybody, they're doing so good. I mean, I can't be more proud of the situation I got going on right now. I mean, we've tried and worked, and everybody just kept to it, and it's finally coming around. My parents, Forrest, Charlotte, Lucas Oil Products, Shelly Cashman, Quality Offset Printers, everybody. They've just done so good by sticking with us, and I really appreciate it.
First final for this team means a lot.